One family, one people, one planet, one love. One family, one people, one planet, one love. One family.
Good morning and welcome to SoulCall Sunday. My name is Lisa Ferrero, and we welcome you wherever you are joining us from this morning. Some of you, let everybody know how many of you are here in the room. And I'm happy to report that each week it keeps growing and growing. And if you all showed up here at one time, it would be pandemonium, and we'd love that. So we are here in Columbus, Ohio at AIAM, and there's more about where we are on our website, soulcallglobal.org. Come and join us in person. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why that's so cool is last week, had you been here, this is a massage school, an acupuncture school, reflexology school, and there was a class going on. At which point, one of the students needed to test on somebody's body. And so the instructor came in and said, "Who would like a free massage?" And at first we were all stunned. We were thinking, did she just say? And Debbie, how was it?
It was fabulous.
It was fabulous. It relieved her sciatica. So we're healers, I tell you. We're healers. So that's why you show up, because you never know. Plus there's coffee and cookies and the energy. If you've got something that you feel like you just need to get up above, come fly with me, let's fly away. You can raise your vibration when you're in community with people whose charge is that high. And that's why we do it. A couple of weeks from now, I'm going to invite a friend in named Chris Bryden, who's going to talk about the power of being in a community, in a room, in a space, in an environment where the charge is so high, you could actually feel it's reordering your brain at a higher level of thinking. We often hear these kinds of phrases. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about a new kind of memory. And if you're a Patti LaBelle fan, it could be akin to, "I got a new attitude." You remember that song? It starts from regrowing things from the inside. This monad, the one mind, the one consciousness, the super consciousness that overrides all of the other things in between. Call it God, call it whatever you resonate with, but just know that we all have access to it. It's not just for a certain few who seem to be onto it as soon as we get here. There's a reason for that too. We're going to talk about it. But I'm going to bet that everyone who's watching us and everyone who's in this room is already onto something, or you're starting to just be serving the conviction that I'm tired of pretending I don't know this stuff. And you want to learn how to actively engage with it on a more regular basis. So that's why we come in communion together in community. And it's what we teach when you take one of the lessons, all the different points of entry into your own beautiful soul to bring forth that memory that might seem like magic and miracles, but it's the reality of who you are, who you've always been, and what you want to do with this, as Mary Oliver would say, this one wild and precious life. This one wild and precious life. So this morning we're going to begin, and let us know where you're tuning in from, wherever you are. I love to see who's with us, and I know everybody in the room likes to see where you're coming from all the different parts of the world. And if you're watching us later, I welcome you also, and I thank you for finding the time to check out our YouTube channel and finding us at SoulCall Global. And we're easy to find. This is an exciting thing to celebrate. Who is it? Who is it? It's Kara Gerdman from SoulCall Global down the hall. Hey, thank you, Kara. We should start having a contest. Like if you're the first one to chime in, you win something. I don't know what that could be. You'll get a new car, right? Maybe we'll work up to that point sometime. So this morning we're going to begin, as we begin every Sunday, with the experience. We're very much about the experiential. It's not just me talking at you about something. It's about how we can feel the things and incorporate them into ourselves that I'm talking about, or whomever might be up here talking about it. So we're going to do this co-creation process of pulling in the energy with a powerful practice of traditional Chinese medicine called Qigong. And it predates the Western medicine model, which is also vital. One works on the physical, you got the astral, you've got the spiritual, and you got the superconscious. So put them all together and we have all the help we need in body, mind, and spirit to help ourselves along the way, no matter what it is we're experiencing in the physical, in the mental. Sometimes we can just change our mental attitude by doing something different physically. Get up and take a walk. All of a sudden my mind feels better. Or sit in the stillness. All of a sudden my body feels better and my mind feels better. So they work together. It's keeping them together and learning how to weave between them so that we're always in divine alignment. And it's tuning in. So today we're going to talk about a new kind of memory. But first, Helen Yee is going to help us remember how to pull that energy from around us into us and to feel the energetic charge. So if you're in the room, if you want to find some space where we can practice Qigong, welcome, Helen.
Welcome.
Thanks for being here this morning.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. And yes, let's pull the energy in today. There's focus on your mind on the twist, pull, and coil today.
What is it?
Twist, pull, and coil.
Okay.
All right? Kind of like a dragon's tail.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to pull the energy in. So I want you to have your feet about shoulder width apart right now. Put your hands where the lower dantian is. And just draw in the conscious awareness of your energy here in this space into the mind. Just breathing in and breathing out, relaxing all the cells in your body, opening your eyes. From here, I want you to spread your feet about a shoulder width and a half, bending your knees slightly, relaxing your shoulders. From here, you're going to just let the arms fall down, and then inhaling as you coil, twist, and pull the energy as you breathe in. So you're going to inhale here, and then exhale as you coil and pull. Make sure your body is relaxed, and just kind of also round the shoulders, round the back, coming up and looking out into the sky. Three more times. Relaxing and coiling and pulling, twisting. You're twisting the meridian channels of the arms, doing a pumping action, allowing that chi to continue to flow as you move the body into different optimal positions. You're receiving chi and moving the chi. One more. There's another method of this when you hold rocks in your hands called minzen, but that'll be another time. And relaxing here. Oh, that's nice and relaxing. And then just go ahead and opening some of the channels and points on the body, the head, coming down into the occipital ridge, into the neck area, into the sternum, awakening the areas and points here, coming down here. Do it into a circular motion along the transverse and descending and ascending colon. It's good for digestion. And then from here, awakening the arms, the yin and the yang side. One more time. And then coming over to this side. Just really giving it a nice awakening. Allowing that energy to move. And then just feeling that chi, feeling the vibration. Allowing that energy to absorb into the body, and carrying that sensation with you throughout the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Don't you just feel better already? Thank you very much. Good afternoon. No. It's a funny thing. We do this obviously we do it on purpose and we're intentional about it, but it says if you could feel that good just by taking, how much time was that? 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
Every morning, or when you're feeling like you need a little charge, instead of reaching for a donut, don't do what I do, just do what I say. Just take the opportunity to, I'm going to remember this one next time I'm at TSA. I'll be like, thank you for moving my cheek. I won't get so upset. Yeah, this cheek. But it's a really wonderful practice, and we invite you to experience it on a more regular basis all week long. And eventually, we've got a couple more recordings to finish, but we're going to offer Deborah Weisenberger-Lippitt's Qigong program and Helen's on our website so that you can have it and practice often. So our goal for that is before June. I think May is the month. This is like our theme this month is Thrive. And I like May because it feels like the permissive month, doesn't it? Yes, you may. So whatever it is, the theme for April was emergence. But whatever the theme was for emergence in your life last month, the theme for this month is Thrive. So it's one thing to have something emerge forth from you and you recognize, I've got a particular skill or talent for this thing, but thriving, to become successful, to really make known, to flourish. Sounds a lot like flower, like nature. Isn't it so funny how the more we notice nature, the more there are no secrets. Everything in the universe, it just keeps, once you're onto it, you see it everywhere. And you do kind of go out of your mind. Everything is laughable. These people who all of a sudden get sudden enlightenment, most of them just start laughing at how simple it is, but how challenging it can appear to be at times, right? So today we're going to talk about a new kind of memory and blueprints of consciousness, where they come from, what the origin of thought is, what it isn't, how we can override a thought that has been a predominant thought that we picked up somewhere along the way that was not ever our thought to begin with, but it's been pushed on so much. We've all heard that analogy of the elephant. When it's a baby elephant, they tie a little stake, they pound a little stake into the ground and put a little, leash on the elephant, and it seems too hard to pull away. But then when it's a huge elephant, that all it would have to do is just lift its leg. It doesn't know that it can do that because it's just been conditioned to think that it can't. Even when it has the power and the strength and the indomitable force of its own consciousness, spirit to do it. But yet there are times when we can supersede these limitations, these perceived limitations of the body. And I think about it when I think of, we've all heard stories about people who've had a rush of what they say was a rush of adrenaline that allowed that mom to lift the car off we're all nodding our heads. We've heard these stories before. Is it the rush of adrenaline? That happens after as a reaction or response to something else. The body is the last thing to know. So something happens before the release of adrenaline, and it starts with the magnetic force of the heart. It is the love of child or the love of whatever on the outside that drives that and makes it so magnetic. It has to happen. It supersedes all the physical laws that we say are cause and effect. So we all know these quotes and we understand the meaning of the quote. In order to change something, you can't approach it with the consciousness that created it. That's cause and effect. We live in this world of the physical world where we feel like there's left and right, good and bad. We were talking about this last week, the 3 levels of what it takes to have a human form. There's the physical, the astral, which is the energetic body, and the causal realm, which supersedes all of it. And the more we can tune into the causal realm, which we can, the more, when people who study the Bible, the more we can have dominion over the earth. It doesn't mean over all beings, I will raise my hand and all of a sudden you'll all jump up and do whatever. You'll have dominion over yourself, over this earth that is your own physical being, not power over others. That's easier to have power over others. Try to get a hold of your own thoughts. I see a lot of heads nodding, myself included sometimes, right? So a new kind of memory that is going to help us to thrive during the month of May. when we put these themes together, there's like an evolution of it. So we invite you to participate each month with the theme. So emerge, if you're just joining us, what is beginning to burst forth this spring inside of you that you want to achieve? Something, it might be on the physical plane, it might be health, it might be a new thought, it might be a new garden, it might be a vision coming into form. I just got back from Chicago late yesterday afternoon, and part of the trip was about visiting some friends from my jazz scene. Some people I haven't seen in a long time. They all happen to be in one place. And then meeting somebody new who was amazing, who I was inspired by the whole time. I got to meet somebody named Dee Dee Bridgewater. I love Dee Dee Bridgewater, and it was amazing. One of the other things I got to do that was equally amazing was to visit the place. You know, we are a thriving global community. We are really kicking it up. SoulCall is new. I met with a woman who started from scratch like we're doing right now 28 years ago. And to see what they have created, you know, they've got a cafe like we're talking about having that serves everything in it is beautiful. The food, the flowers, it's all consciously grown, represented and offered. But they have a school attached to it. Like we're talking about our schools and there's a whole bunch of, she's an artist, so lots of creativity going. It's a thriving, they're getting grants of up to like $250,000. This is 28 years into it, but she's been getting them for a long time. But she started in the room of her house, then they moved to the basement, then they moved to the outdoor area, then they got a space, so here we are. There's no magic in it. It was following the vision and sharing. Nothing told her she can't. And the people that did tell her she can't, she knew that's not true because I've been seeing this thing. So we're doing the same thing. So I was just studying their steps and what was working, what was challenging, and how to progress. So and I think that's sometimes the mistake we make. For me, I had a temporary thought of, oh God, this is what I see right now. It's not going to take us 28 years. I mean, to do what she's doing was a whole different thing than what we're doing. But she kept at it and kept at it and kept at it, and more people and more people. I'm looking at some beautiful new faces in the room, and I'm so happy to know you. And welcome back to some people I haven't seen for a while. But as we grow in this consciousness, taking the lid off for others and giving others permission, like the more we're around it, if there's something you're incubating right now, maybe you've been composting for years in your consciousness, and it's time to work that into the soil of your consciousness, and let's go. Let's go, and let us help you. When you're feeling like you just need a little zzz, come here on a Sunday and feel it. My head's tingling right now. I'm getting excited about the whole thing. I'm saying a new kind of memory. So where do we store memories, or what I call energetic blueprints? Where do we store them? Why is it important to gain wisdom about these memories? And what if there's an energetic memory and a physical memory? What if it's double? Then what if I call true non-memories to leave? And what do I call true memories? And the true memories are made when we're conscious of just being fully present in the moment. These are memories that serve us in the moment, but we don't carry them over and over and over and over and over and over again. Because then we have an expectation that it's always going to be like this. Then when it's not, what happens? You're all disappointment, and it lowers your vibe. So this mental equivalent, it's beyond a mental equivalent. It's a heart-centered, energetic, that pulls forth from these particles that are between us that we were just working with, pulling in the light. It pulls in the blueprint of what you're visioning. And it's not about getting things. It's about the energy these things present and how it changes the world. So if you think you can't change the world, I'm going to tell you respectfully, you're misinformed. You can change the world, but it's changing your own consciousness and the way you perceive the world that everything else shifts. So where do we store memories? There's a story about, how many of you believe in reincarnation? That you come back and forth. I would expect nothing less from everyone in this room. I remember doing something with my mom one time. My mother was always she's like the great leveler. She's the great grounder when I start with, but you can imagine growing up with someone like me. It's just funny. We were taking up, some of you have heard this story, we're about to get a new carpet You know, and I grew up with a family of 5 kids. And so if we could save a buck, my dad was going to do it. Boy, howdy. So if we took up the tax and, you know, along the walls, wall-to-wall carpet, they had that strip with the little, if we took up all the old stuff, they would give us a discount. So there we are. My mom and I are like side by side, kneeling down, just like doing this mindless, repetitive task. So a mindless, repetitive task would be like, follow the breath, follow the breath. Follow. It's it became a meditation. And before I knew it, I was like, I was everywhere. When I looked at my mom, she looked like someone else. And I felt like I had done something just like this with this person. And when I came back, I realized I was named Lisa. I was who I am, which was that person too. But I was in the house and I looked at my mother and I said, do you ever feel like you've been here before? And she's just like, oh God, it's going to be another one of these. A long afternoon. And she said, what do you mean now? And I said, I feel like we've been here before and we've done this before. And she just dropped her screwdriver for a minute. She goes, well, I'll tell you what. If I had been here before and did this before, I sure as hell wouldn't be doing it again now. So that was it, crash. Like the whole possibility just kind of like, poof. And I was back to, man, this is hard. I'd rather be out playing. Like it was, but it was the experience of, obviously I've never forgotten it because it was a clue. And this would happen many, many times. So I want to ask you, how many of you either here, and let us know if you're watching, send us a little note. How many of you have had an experience that you can recall right now when you were younger where you knew something let you onto the fact that you were here before, or this is familiar, or something that blew you out of the everyday A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anyone? You can raise your hand. No one's going to haul you away. Yeah. Okay. What I invite you to do for the month of May, I give you permission. Yes, you may. Play with the idea that you brought something in of a memory of an energetic with you, an energetic possibility from another time. Like, for example, think of something that you just came in that you just knew how to do. I don't know how I knew that. I just always good at that. Like I could always sing. I didn't really have to work at that, but I worked at it every day. I sang every day for hours and hours and hours and hours. I did work at it, but it was something I loved. So it wasn't like work. You know, when you read, Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell, and he talks about the 10,000 hours to become expert. I probably had that in by the time I was 5. If you ask my parents, they couldn't get me to shut up. But think about what your passion was. And that is the thing that supersedes the body. It's an energetic realm that just jolts and vibrates at the highest healing frequency. Think of it like a laser. I had a friend who created the anti-reflective coating on refractionary lenses so that laser surgery could take place. Because what their biggest challenge was to push a force with a concentrated laser beam through a series of refractions like lenses. The reflection would always shadow the previous lenses. So without distorting the beam and dissipating it in any way by going through, without distorting it in any way, that's what he made possible. So think about yourself as a pure vessel of light without a blueprint, kind of like a cookie cutter kind of thing. Like if it squeezes through you, it looks like this. If it squeezes through somebody else, like women who have children. How many of you have children in here? You know, we squeeze these humans through our bodies, and they have an energetic blueprint of the humans who created them. Like if you're standing with your friend and you look at the mom and you say, oh my God, you look just like your mother. And then the father walks in and you say, no, actually you look just like your dad. But then all of a sudden, if we open our minds a little bit and see that the genetics, then you look again and you say, actually, no, you've got your mom, your mom up to here, but there's your dad's smile and your dad's here and you're, right? So there's a way our humanness is squeezed through in a certain way with genetics that is going to help us use the energy of what we might have been before to pick up where we left off. Just think about that. Or to help us remember that none of that matters at all. All you need to know right now is how to get to the causal realm, which you can do through meditation and clearing away the thinking, a new kind of memory. I want you to remember, when I say I want you to, I really want you to remember who and what you are, and forget who and what you're not. Before we became these little walking people who were just commodification of consciousness kind of things. I love certain things, and it's great to have what we need in the physical realm, as long as it doesn't dictate our consciousness. Like we said early before, I got lots of heads agreeing that if I have this thing and I expect to have it every time, if I don't have it once, it creates disappointment. Just being a traveling vocalist, I had to get rid of that ASAP. Every place I sang was different. Great if you're like Celine Dion and you can have everybody come to your own house, set up exactly, you walk out. You don't have to think about anything. It's all taken care of. But how do we reprogram ourselves when something comes to us as sort of an imposition to help us remember how strong we are and how to get to the root of ourselves? So here are a couple of stories to illustrate this point of like where we could find a different kind of memory. Maybe you've heard the story of a man named James Madison Leiniger, who was born in 1998. And this is a story told by a gentleman named Dr. James Tucker, who studies reincarnation. I'm not as interested in reincarnation as I am where we store memory. All right. I know some of us talk about this kind of stuff all the time. This particular man, who's now a man who was born in 1998, but when he was about 35 months old, which is mostly when kids who remember their former life start to talk about it, because they've got a little bit of a command of the language. They can tell you things. It doesn't mean they're not trying to figure it all out while we're trying to teach them A, B, C, D, and come on, walk and hit the ball. Let's play T-ball. It's before we get into all of the organized rules and allow ourselves to just, he started to wake up as a young boy and have horrible nightmares, James Leiniger, of being in a plane crash. And he remembered it vividly. He remembered his name. His name was, I don't remember his name, but he did. I can't remember his name. He remembered his name, but I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. But he remembered who he was in his past life by name. He described the plane he was flying in. He knew he was in World War II and he was shot down as a fighter pilot. Now the kid's almost 3 years old. He didn't see that anywhere. He certainly didn't read it. And so his parents were so taken by the story, and that it was such conviction. He was telling them this. They did some research. And in fact, they found that a gentleman by that name died in a plane crash. His plane was shot down in World War II. And they got a photograph of him and everything. So it was real. So now this person's body perished in the plane crash. But somewhere that memory persisted. There's another story of a young boy who received a heart transplant from another boy his age. I think he was 9 years old. And he had a degenerative disease. He had some kind of a problem. But the other young boy died tragically. And that's all the parents of the recipient knew, that this child, 9 years old, died tragically, and he was an organ donor. So they used his heart to save this other young boy. Fast forward maybe 8 months or so, the parents of the boy who transitioned really wanted to meet the parents of the boy who received his heart, and they wanted to meet him. One wanted to see that life goes on. You can imagine the myriad of emotions around that. And the other one wanted to thank the parents of this other boy. And when they got together, they started this conversation, and the parents of the boy who passed away asked the parents of the boy who was still living with the new heart. They were just so curious, like, is he any different? Does he do anything differently? And the parents of the child who received the heart said, funny, he wants different food from time to time, things he wouldn't eat, he really wants now. But the most striking thing was his father said, one of the weirdest things was when he came home from the hospital, as he started to feel better, he went down to his playroom. And one of the first things he did was he collected all of his Power Rangers, put them in a box. And they said, don't you want to play Power Rangers? He said, I don't want to ever see these again. I don't want to play with these. And the parents of the boy who passed away, my whole head's tingling, burst into tears. And in fact, the 9-year-old boy who passed away was playing with a Power Ranger that fell over a balcony, and when he went to get it, he fell to his death. So his memory is, who else has like hair standing up? Okay, so his physical heart was now physically into the physical body of this other boy, and it held memories. So much so, this kid doesn't have to reincarnate a whole bunch of times. He's got a couple things going for him. No more Power Rangers. I'm not going to fall off the balcony again. Okay, so where are we holding, this is all to say, where are we holding memory of tragic things in our body right now? And where can we release them? And it's not we've done something wrong. We've done nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. Sometimes things that we don't even realize, Helen and I are talking about subconscious mind, we just hear things. This is why, Erika and I would say, like, beware of secondhand sound. We got rid of secondhand smoke. But secondhand sound, when you're at the airport, I don't like sitting where CNN is blaring or worse. I don't want that in my subconscious mind. Wherever we place our heads, we're picking up information for our subconscious mind that is doing something. It's making the case for whatever it is they want us as a collective consciousness. You are in charge of that. And once we can kind of get, I'm not saying that challenging things aren't going to present in our lives. That's not what I'm saying. It's just going to give us a little more confidence that, okay, this is a weed. Again, I was weeding my garden last week. I spent the whole day. My body was screaming, like, stop doing it. But I couldn't because I was getting so jazzed at what's to come. The more I do this now, like next week when I drove home, yesterday I pulled into my driveway and, everything's popping now because I made room for it. And I knew that was the reward because I've seen it happen before. So some of those things, why do we tell stories like this? So that you can remember, you already know this. And you could say, okay, if that's possible for these people, what's possible for me? Same laws of the universe are operating for you, for me, for everyone. It's not just special people. It's for all special people, which is every single one of you and me. And it's not like pie, like consciousness and feeling bliss is not like pie. There's not only so much to go around. It's endless. It's limitless. It's boundless. And thinking about making contact with someone who's slipped out of this body, well, one of the big questions is, where do they go? They didn't go anywhere. They're everywhere. They just slipped out and now they're everywhere. And I can say, because I've experienced that before. And it's not, when we're thinking, this is what Einstein is saying, when we're starting to think of it as the physical world only, the cause and effect mind cannot reconcile cosmic consciousness. The physical mind, it's impossible. So what we need to help is to retrain the brain. Just see yourself, I can't remember what these, were they called color forms? Just peeling back that blueprint that maybe when you were squeezed through your genes or squeezed into your genes, that might be some time of your parents, squeezing through another person's body. There's a genetic imprint there that has nothing to do with how healthy you are or how sick you're going to get. I never bought into that. I never will. I believe there are studies. You could find whatever you want. Statistics. What is it? Lies, damn lies, and statistics. Right? Like, it's what you believe over and over and over and over and over again. And you don't have to not believe it as many times as you believed it. You just need to change. I even say not even create a new thought, just no thought. Just stop thinking it. You can replace it with another thought, with a positive affirmation. But that composting place of your consciousness where you've been eons juicing it with cosmic consciousness, plant it there and watch what happens. And it's actually in the magnetic force of your heart. That child, it's in their heart. So there's an interesting concept to think that a consciousness of another person was physically put into, but it's just like genetics, right? You think about it. You don't have to go heart to heart. It's genes to genes to genes. We have likes and dislikes based on the people we grew up with and around. And we do it, it's so simple, the hypnosis of it. Like if you make food or you enjoy food, it's always going back to food. You knew this was going to happen. When you eat at a certain restaurant, you order a certain dish, and maybe you order it on a Tuesday, or you order it on a Thursday or Friday. Maybe they have two chefs, and the better one's on the weekend. And you go back on a Tuesday and order it, it doesn't taste exactly the same. It's disappointing because we had an expectation. But the people that never had it before think, oh my God, that was so delicious. But we create this expectation. But do you ever try a new food you've never tried at all? You have no idea what to expect, but somebody just says, this is delicious, try it. And you're like, oh my God, what is that? And you start to try to figure out what went into the making of this. These are like the first time I had Indian food, or, food that uses all these different spices. And I didn't have that growing up. We had garlic and olive oil and, basil and stuff like that. So think about feeding your mind a brand new dish you've never had before and make it delicious. Add what you want, or try something you've never tried. Try some thoughts on you've never experienced before, and getting deep into it. Now, Bob Proctor, who is everybody know who Bob Proctor is? Self-help. He said, know what's happening around you and be in control of what's happening within you. Know what's happening around you, but be in control of what's happening in you. So I'm going to read something from Amit Goswami, who's my favorite. And I say this every time I say his name, Goswami. I think, how could you have a bad day with a name like Goswami? Because it just kind of cheers you on. Goswami, it's your birthday. So he says, I've spoken of macro bodies of our physical world having grossness because their possibility waves are sluggish. So when you're talking about quantum physics, we all have possibility waves. Well, once we think one thing into this potential, whereas Janine has this great big sign on her ear, possibilities. Once you narrow it down to one thing, it collapses the wave and makes it dense, and it has to happen that way. But until you make up your mind, the possibilities are endless. But once you believe in one thing, boom, and it comes out. It's kind of like standing in the case at the grocery store. Do I want this? Do I want that? Once you take it out, it collapses, and there's a space where that was, isn't there? It's the same thing with the cosmos and our consciousness. So the macro bodies, everything, have a property that adds to their grossness. And because of their complexity, once they are excited by some interaction, they take a long time to return to their normal ground state. In other words, they have a long regeneration time. We talked last week about regeneration and regenerative cells. And if something gets you so excited and off your center, it takes a long time to bring yourself back to steady. This could be if somebody tells you something that's terrifying that you don't want to hear. If you allow yourself to get so excited in fear about what they just said, like the news, it's really hard to enjoy a beautiful walk in the most gorgeous place. I could drop you right in the middle of heaven and you'd still be worried about it, because it's hard to bring yourself back. So the more we can minimize that kind of experience, the better, until we have it so grooved on centeredness that you could be in the middle of a crashing world, as Yogananda said. You could stand amidst the crash of breaking worlds. And it's not that you don't care, but it won't affect you, because you'll see it as an idea somebody else had, but it's not my idea. And then that's not being in denial. There's a difference, right? So this allows macro bodies to make memories or record them that are practically permanent and that seem irreversible, like a tape or an audio or a video, like I'm speaking right now, and later this afternoon, you can go and watch what happened because it's being taped. But it makes it look real and permanent. It makes it look real and permanent. But did you ever have a cassette tape? Remember those? And were you ever into like making your favorite tapes in a row, like all your songs in a row, and then you used to have to put tape over the little hole so that you didn't accidentally record over it? So nothing is permanent in the physical world. Even if it lasts 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, It's not permanent. So don't, as my friend again from Kentucky would say, don't get caught up in it. Be aware of what's going around, but recognize what's happening more than. And Amit Goswami calls this thing that seems to be irreversible, he calls it classical memory. Classical memory. Because all you need to understand it is classical physics. An important difference between physical and subtle substances is that subtle substances do not form classical memory, which requires the grossness of the macro body. Does that make sense? So there are these physical laws that are more dense, but the ones that supersede it don't create physical memory. So can we see how there's some kind of a combination necessary to enjoy the bliss of the opportunity to be in human form? There's a way we can, like I was gonna say I had to tie my shoes this morning, but I didn't. I had the slip-ons. But we all remember how to tie our shoes. That's a nice piece of classical memory. Where you live, happy to know how to get home. Things like this, where my clothes are, or all these things. When you put things in the house, classical memory. But to get an energetic blueprint off of our body, we need to supersede it and go to where the causal realm is, that cosmic consciousness realm, the one that didn't require the heart transplant for that man to remember that he died in a World War II bomber crash. So what happens in between is the part I really want to focus on for the month of May, and thriving. So in closing, I want us to remember that we can practice moving from emerging to thriving, and where you can practice from, where in your life can you practice that? Like just think of, get something in your mind, just one thing you want to move from. This is an emerging passion I have, and I want to juice it and make it thrive by pulling in the cosmic consciousness that is alive in every one of my cells. It is my birthright blueprint, the one that remembers everything and nothing at all. It's that place. It takes me right to the edge, but I don't fall off the balcony. It takes me to a growing edge, a new way of participating without thinking I know where I'm going or what I'm doing. I just trust that I'm being divinely guided. I hear the voice of God. I listen to it and I act accordingly. And my life is filled with bliss. Each one of us has the same invitation. I'm no different than anyone else, and neither are you. So 5 steps to help this paradigm shift with measurable results. One would be check the habits of your thought. Some of them are volleyed up from the subconscious mind. Try to figure out where they're coming from, but feel into them more than think. Make this exercise 80% feeling, 20% thinking. Allow the idea to come from where it's coming, but then feel, where am I holding this energetic thought? Where am I holding this? And what is the thought that's associated with this physical challenge? What am I thinking? What is it? And it's not your fault. It's really important to remember it's not about that. It's just about getting a higher vibration around it, permeating, letting it regrow itself from the inside out. This is where all of this is going to come from. When we do visioning, we ask these questions. What must I release from my mind? What must I release from my mind? Or what might take an eraser to that blueprint? That's not who I am anymore. This is what my parents did. I don't do this anymore. My genes are not my reality. My genes are not my consciousness. This is where I started, and this is what I've done. Erase the things that don't fulfill you or bring forth bliss, and let that be your meter. You know, Marie Kondo, was that her name? When you're clearing out the closets and all these things, clear out the clutter of your own consciousness, of your mind and your heart. When I was going through this period of extreme self-love, I really had to get into a real space with myself. Like, even though these people have been in my life for a long time, do I feel blissful around them, or do I have to be somebody I'm not? And now I don't care what people think anymore. I really don't. I want people to like me, but I can't control that. And some people don't, just because you've got the nerve to do something differently and to say, that is such crap. I'm not doing that anymore. You can have it. I'm not saying you don't have to do it, but it doesn't resonate with me. And just having the courage of your conviction that you supersede this physical blueprint and get into where it's at. Start having some fun. just have some fun. So what must I release from my heart and my mind? And what must I visualize and see through the magnetic strength of my heart to pull into my field of awareness? If my heart is a magnet and your heart's a magnet, if you're walking around like, you know, some guys like, hey, I'm a babe magnet, you know, when you make fun like that, or what are you attracting? What do you want to attract? Just put your consciousness where your heart is, right? Put your money where your heart is, and allow yourself to visualize. You know, Shakti Gawain is one of the first people who started to really make a charge, literally, with creative imagination and visualization. And if you could see what you want and not just see it, but charge it. Like when people are teaching visualization, they say, have the vibrational equivalent of the joy you'll have when you have this, when you have the SoulCall Global Community Village where people can meditate in the gardens, and it's a mecca for creativity and high forms of art and everything in between. I fill it with my heart. And I know you all do too, because I can feel it when I see you. Like we're all doing this together. But the more we get that single vision of that, and then charge it, it has to come. It's like shunk. It's magnet. Those particles that are between us become magnetized with the blueprint of an image. It's not even like a stamp. And then you leave a little bit of room, because it's not a stamp, for the infinite to fill in what I don't know about this vision that's going to make it even. Because when I get there, it's got to be something that can grow and evolve, or else it's going to fall away really, really fast too. So leave room for the infinite. I'm sure that I don't know more than I do know. All I know is how it works, and I try to stay out of the way. I try to become like that refractionary lens that's clear and allows the light to come through without me squeezing my idea of how it has to be. All I know about it is it needs to be excellent. It needs to be of service, and it needs to not take from the whole without giving. I know those things, and it needs to help others remember how to do the same thing, so we can all play in the same field. And then pull it through the magnetic strength of your heart. That's all. Just pull it in like that. So the invitation is to thrive, and to thrive, you have to remember that nothing happens without the infinite. Even when we're going through immense challenge and struggle, we are never outside of the gaze, the watchful eye of Divine Mother. This is a beautiful way for me to put it. Divine Father, Divine Friend, Divine Lover, my dog, whatever looks at me and loves me most, go through the eyes of that loved one and find the infinite all around at all times. You were born to thrive, and that's the invitation for this month. And here's to bliss. And we're going to dive into a song right now called Nothing Happens Without You.
At times, I'd say I had self-control. At times, I felt a prisoner of myself. Now all that's changed. Nothing happens without you. If all the world were suddenly gone, it couldn't happen without you. Of all the worlds we chose, love alone. Nothing happens without you. Nothing happens without you. You are air and you are wings. You are my work and repose, my rose garden and spring. Nothing happens without you. Galaxies of clearest night
stand humbly before you. A hummingbird lands upon my hand. Nothing happens without you. Nothing happens without you. Your gentleness, your humbling power leaves my heart nowhere else to turn. Your beautiful name's inscribed within this heart of mine. Where in the universe can I hide? Nothing happens without you. Nothing happens without you. Your gentleness, your humbling power leaves my heart nowhere else to turn. Nothing happens without you. Nothing happens without you.
Nothing happens without you. So let's pray. O cosmic, infinite beloved, with the magnetic strength of our heart, we call your divine name. And that name is whatever we reach out to our infinite memory, a new kind of memory, with love. Diving deep, deep into the recesses of my soul, bringing forth, allowing to emerge a new kind of memory where I remember that thou and I are one. There is no thou, there is no I. Rumi says, say I am you. Knock on the door of the infinite with all the strength of your heart. And when the infinite asks, who is it? Say, I am you. Thou and I are one. Help us to recharge, revitalize at this moment right now. Feel the vibration of a little cosmic jolt. This is so as not to excite us, but to stimulate us in our knowing that we are divine representations of an infinite, inconceivable intelligence that is known to us as bliss. Help us to find calmness in the chaos, beauty in the silence, and our infinite love, which we can share over and over and over again as we put forth a divine blueprint of a vision of our conscious global community, awake, ready, and thriving. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Om Shanti, peace. Amen, Ashe, and anything else you want to say. So we thank you for joining us this morning for SoulCall Sunday Live, the experience that helps us to get that jolt. We thank you. Let everybody know who's here in person. Just yeah. thank all of our volunteers. Aiden, our new stream person, thank you, Aiden and Ethan, and everyone who puts this together here. Let's give our volunteers a hand. Doesn't it look beautiful? I want to thank everyone at AIAM for giving us the space. And so we look forward to seeing you in person, but we also thank you for your donations, the energy of your love in the form of conscious contributions. It helps us to do the work we do, helps us to pay the bills, pay the people who help us to bring these programs to you, but also to do the work we do in the world, in our slice of the world, and your slice of the world too. So no amount is too big or too small. Like I said, if you're looking for a place to get rid of some funds, I can help you with that. That's just the kind of person I am. We are a 501c3, so your contributions are tax deductible if you need to know that. And also we have a fantastic prayer team. We'll help take some of that off of your consciousness as well. So please, if you're holding something that is in need of healing of body, mind, or spirit, and as we all know, it's all of it, please send us a line at prayers@soulcallglobal.org, and we thank you. So every Monday night from 8 to 9, we have Meditation Monday. Just a meditation Monday, and that's me. And what we can do on Monday nights, you can just go to the website and get the link to come into the room to meditate. So wherever you are in the world, there is no separation of physics. It doesn't matter if you're in the room or not, you're in the consciousness. And boy, you can really feel it. So I invite you. This is a way that we can stretch out our consciousness beyond all of it. Makes it wide. And so that blueprint, you don't have to work on it and chisel away at it. It just will lift and be replaced by a wider, like just space. Think beautiful wide open spaces. I almost said Texas, but I was like, what's the most beautiful? Like think the ocean. I don't know, something beautiful. But allow yourself to expand and just let that stuff float away, because the infinite is contained in every instant. So just like that, you don't have to work on it forever and ever. Come meditate, open your consciousness, and fill it with love. And tomorrow, because it's the first Monday in May, it is a Yoga Monday at 5 o'clock with Natalia Zuckerman. And you can also get the link, soulcallglobal.org. Just sign up, and it's also on Zoom. So if you've been practicing yoga, she'll actually be there to answer any questions you might have, or like, it hurts when I do this. And she won't say, don't do that. There's a stretch for that. So join us. So Meditation Monday is every week, but the first Monday of every month, which is tomorrow. SoulCallGlobal.org is where you'll find all that great information. So we thank you for joining us. And remember, wherever you are, as you're remembering with a new kind of memory, which is a body, a mind, and a spirit memory. At oncement, right? Atonement, all at the same time. Living in that now. Wherever you are, if you just need to hear it and need to know it, say it with me. You are loved. Peace and blessings.
One family, one people, one planet, one love.